say to go to the Vault City Brewery.
So we've just done the costume test for Rope. One of the really nice parts of the process was that I had an idea about what I wanted for the costumes, that essentially stuff set in the 1920s is often black and white, and I really wanted to push against that idea. I really wanted to bring out the colour of it. I wanted to bring out ideas around Cecil Beaton's Bright Young Things. I wanted to bring out ideas around Bauhaus, around the Belle Epoque, just really getting the vibrancy of the era. And really, before the pre-production of the show had even started, I'd been working with Jay on the props for Moonstone, and we'd been discussing my ideas around it. And Jay, despite having never done kind of costume design before, was really, really interested in it. And with support from some of the more experienced members of LAC, so Zoe Friedman, Maria Quatter, Maureen Willis, Jay was able to design these absolutely stupendous looking costumes and then essentially go to Croydon House, which is our warehouse, and figure out how to make these quite lavish costumes work. As a director, I'm just absolutely astounded at what Jay's been able to do. It's just really beautiful, like, costuming. There are some of the ones that I look at and it just captures that character so much. And so, yeah, I think it's just been a real testament to what LAC actually has in terms of kind of like developing talent and like developing kind of like people and just, you know, seeing what the costumes are. Wynne Brandon, who is essentially the main villain of the piece, I kind of, because we were gender bending Wynne, we were playing her as a woman rather than as a man, I just had this idea about David Bowie in my head, and essentially the Thin White Duke era David Bowie. And the costume we've got really kind of like gets that across, that essentially it's kind of like white and black with these little red highlights, and it's just very, very powerful and sleek and kind of malevolent looking, and it's wonderful.
Yeah, so it'll actually be in like this pocket because these aren't pockets.
You can even just like have it on a chain around your neck, and when you're saying to kind of like Raglan, it's in my top pocket, you're just fucking with him.
Yeah, that would be one more thing for me to have to let unlock us. I've got so many. I'm like, I'm scared of doing.
So one of the main aims with the costume was to have each costume really say something about the character, but also about their relationship to other characters within the scene, their sort of position within the story, the contrasts and differences between the characters, whether they are younger or older, predator or prey. So we have these murderers in their dark reds and blues, camouflaged and blending into the background, and then highlighted against that background we've got characters wearing light greens and cream and earth tones, which just makes them look more conspicuous and more vulnerable.
Now that you're having to actually read this out, I do apologise for writing this. I was trying to get into Brandon mode, and it's just...
I know, it's great. Done as well. I'm terrible for saying done.
Yeah.
Done.
Was that one of the words?
Done and grano.
Grano.
About 8 o'clock. Hopefully, we're just going to try and run from page 1 up to 30, I think. Just try and get the dinner stain. Just do one run and see where it comes off the rails. And then if we have time, just try and...
We can probably skip mine and Lee's bit because we've done it so many times.
Are you feeling confident?
Well, we can come back to it on a later date. I'm just thinking in terms of parts we've not done that many times.
We can start it from after the...
Yes.
Yeah.
Let's start it from the degloving.
That's a good 10-minute section.
Yes, let's start with the degloving. Right.
You're of old Jerry Wickham, Kenneth, an uncle of mine.
Ah, yes, rather.
Well, you know he's just died lately.
Oh, yes, has he?
Well, it's his library, which he has kindly and unexpectedly bestowed upon me.
Will you come along too, Mrs. Debenham? You dance, don't you?
Oh, I really couldn't say.
Oh, well, we never know until we try, do we?
I beg your pardon?
Granted, utterly.
It was really fascinating and interesting watching the cast and costume and seeing how much it kind of informs the performance. So there's been core ideas that have been sort of germinating in my brain about Rope for a long, long time. There are core bits of like the costume that are kind of untenable, they have to be there. So one of them is that Rupert Cadell has got a cane which has a hidden blade in. And this is the first bit of props and costume he ever got for the show. And Brian having this completely helped inform his performance in so many ways, just in terms of having something he could lean on, getting the sense of the weight of it. And that's the thing about costuming. It's not just about looking pretty, it's about adding layers of verisimilitude to the characters. And so letting the cast actually have this little thing where they run with their costumes 7 weeks before the show, you can already see them starting to understand what it means, what the tightness of the shirts means, what the starchness of like the trousers means, what the kind of power that gets inferred onto them, or if you're wearing a heavy coat, what that does to your frame and how you use that. And so for me, it's just been absolutely fantastic, 'cause it's kind of seeing this vision click together.
Oh, it's always scary. But it's like you don't really learn the lines properly until you start stumbling when you're trying to remember them, I feel anyway. But yeah, that first time of going off it and realising you're letting the whole scene down, it's really terrifying.
To apply the lines, you have to do it. Like, you can learn the words, but
You have to trust yourself, you have to get the muscle memory down and then just go on stage and let the energy carry you through it.
it's a humbling experience, that's for sure.
And then when you do it again, if you don't make the same mistake, a ticket, you know, and then it's so you only really tell, because sometimes you just say it wrong, but sometimes you've learned it wrong.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? And
Yeah.
I think it's fine. I have to learn by messing up, so I have to still try and say it. But as long as I'm always corrected,
Yeah, and it's fine. Like, this is like, I'm really, really impressed at the fact that like you're managing to be as off script as you are 7 weeks before the show. Like, this is kind of incredible. So yeah, well done everybody. This is fantastic. I also don't hate the middle back one, so go you guys. I'm feeling almost kind of positive about it all. It's good.